Hey guys, Dawn from Seasonal Designs. Today we're working on a couple of projects in the greenhouse. You know, it's been pretty cold here in Wisconsin. It is March 19th, and last night I think our low temp was 17 degrees. That's kind of chilly. But you know, we keep this place heated to about 45 degrees at night, but then during the day when the sun hits the glass, it really warms it up in here. And right now we're looking at about 72 degrees. So it's really a beautiful temperature to be doing some projects out here. Today, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be planting up some microgreens. And microgreens are incredibly nutrient dense, and they're also really easy to grow. I love to use them in salads as well as sandwiches. I thought you guys might like to tag along so that you can see just how easy it is to grow these for yourself. So if you're ready, let's get started. All right, so let's talk about what I'm growing here. My seeds come from Johnny's, and I like this mild micro mix. It's the brassica family, so that's the cabbage family of microgreens. And it's a really nice mix, and I find it fairly mild, which I like, so I like to include them in my salads. So that's what we're planting. The other things that you are going to need are going to be something to grow them in. And I like this microgreen tray from Johnny. Here's a close-up of what I'm using. I'm using a tray, no holes, for the bottom. I'm planting in this microgreen tray. This is all from Johnny's. You can see it has great drainage. That's gonna go in there. And then I will finish it off after I plant it up by putting a plastic dome on top to keep some of the heat and moisture in. The other thing that you're going to need is a seed starting mix. Depending on who you get it from, I have some from Garden Supply Company, but there are various seed starting mixes out there that you can use. Two other things you're going to need, well actually three. I like to use a tray that I contain all of my dirt in. I like to work in something like this. I think I may have gotten this from Gardener Supply. In fact, I'll put a link to some of these things in this video, so if you want to buy any of this stuff, you can go find it really easy. The other thing I like to do is I like to use this shaker here. And I think it's maybe a shaker you might use like for cheese, for Parmesan cheese. I like to put my seeds in here when I'm planting up microgreens. And the reason for that is I find it easier to get the right amount of seeds in my tray, because when you're doing microgreens, you're gonna plant your seeds much, much thicker than you would normally plant just about anything else. And I just find this is an easy way to do it, and I'll show you that in just a second. And then water, because you are going to want to make sure that your potting medium, your seed starting mix, is moist before you put it into your tray. So if you're ready, let's get started. All right, I've got you zoomed in here. We are gonna add water to this because this is very dry mix. So we are just gonna add some water, and we're gonna get it to the right consistency. You can see how dry it is. It just is foofing all over the place. It's very dry. All right, I'm gonna add a little more. You can see how handy a tray like this comes into play. It just makes it so easy, so much cleaner of a project here. Now, you want this kind of to hold together like this, but you don't want water to wring out of it. So this is pretty close. I still feel like I could use a little bit more in here. that's pretty good. So now I am just going to fill up my tray. And I'm gonna just get everything out of the way here. Grab my tray and just put this nice mix in here. Gonna make sure it's pressed into all the corners, and I'm just gonna head it down evenly, just like that. So here, let me give you a kind of a close-up of what the seeds look like. Hopefully you can see that. And I am going to I'm just gonna dump actually all of these in here for now. Put this lid on. And you are gonna start shaking. Now I'm keeping my hand here so that I can try to keep the seeds where they need to be. And I'm putting these on pretty thick. This is just gonna help it from kind of going out of my tray here. And you can see, hopefully you can see how thick I'm actually doing this. And I'll move you in a little closer here. All right, so you can see the seeds, how many there are, and how thickly I'm doing this. So here, there aren't any seeds, and I'm gonna shake while I'm shaking. Sorry, I'm hanging onto the camera at the same time. But you can kind of see how thickly I'm putting these on. All right, so here's a close-up. You can see how thickly I have put the seed on. Some people would put a layer of soil on top of this. Some people might put vermiculite on top of it. Either one of those would be fine. What I have found is if I just get the tray, the bottom tray I'm going to use, and I just apply firm pressure all along this tray, just to make sure the seeds have really good contact with the soil, that really is about all I need to do to get them in contact with the soil. Can you see that? You can also go in and even use your hands to just make sure that you've got everything where it needs to be. And a few might stick to your hand, but that's okay. But I do the majority of that with my tray. So that actually looks pretty good. All right, now we're gonna water. You can see I do have a few seeds on here. I'm just simply gonna brush them off with the dirt. Next up, I'm gonna water. Now when you're watering microgreens, I really find it handy to use a hand kind of pump sprayer. And the reason for that is because you don't want to displace the seeds, number one. And number two, I use this the whole time because I don't want to splash dirt up onto my microgreens once they start growing. So I'm just going to give this a good drink of water here, just like this. Make sure everybody's moist. You're going to want to make sure that this stays moist, not wet, but moist, and you really don't ever want it to dry out. Once these have a good drink of water, I am going to put the humidity dome on top of this, and I'm going to place this on a heat mat at 75 degrees. Once they germinate, I'm going to take the dome off, and I will turn my heat mat down to 60 to grow them. And in the beginning, I am going to check these every day, and I'm going to mist them to make sure that the soil does not dry out. Once I get a little bit of a root system, I probably will begin bottom watering this, and it's really easy to do. You're gonna fill this tray up with water. You're gonna stick this top tray in, and they'll be able to draw up moisture from the bottom. I can always mist if I need to. And you just kind of, again, want to keep an eye on the soil. Now I'm going to get these onto the heat mat. And then once these germinate, we're going to check back in. We're going to take a look. So it is day 2, and we are going to check here on our sprouts because I noticed that, look at, they're already sprouting. Yay! We'll check back in another couple days. Look at that. It's been 4 days since we planted these. So this is what the microgreens look like after 7 days. You can see they're really filling in really well. These are really ready to use. You just want to come in with the scissors and give them a snip down as far as you can near the base where they're growing out of the dirt. You want to try not to include any dirt or pull up any of the roots to keep your microgreens clean. If I see dirt, I will toss them in a strainer maybe and give them a little rinse, but I don't like spin them or anything. Most of the time, I don't really get any potting mix on mine, and I really don't wash them. I just use them. Snip and use. Hope you guys enjoy.